This is, many of you know already, that my group writes a lot of invitational tests. We have been asked to write several. It's growing. It's almost gotten a little out of hand this year. I think we are now, we are committed to write, I think, seven or eight invitationals, 3 regionals, and 2 states, as well as the national competition. So some of these invitationals that we write, we post. The first one in the year, there are 2 that we post every year, a few days after the event takes place. For one reason only do we do this. Some teams have the resources and the finances to travel to more than 1 invitational. Some teams travel to as many as 4 invitationals. That gives them one heck of an advantage over teams that do not have the resources, the finances to travel to invitationals. The very first invitational that we do of the year is MIT. It takes place in January. This year it's January the 12th at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Last year, in this year's competition, 2018, they had 72 teams and ran every event. We wrote the astronomy event. The week following that, I posted that test and the answer key on the National Science Olympiad website. We're going to do the same this year. That is so that all those teams who do not have the financial resources to travel all the way to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and besides, that's not a really, January, let's just say, is not a very pleasant time of year to go to Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's a beautiful place, but not so much in January. So that is posted so that you will have the same test as a practice and study to show you what the caliber of the test are going to be like, because it's a very good test. Also, and here is the rest of it. This entire thing is posted on the website. Here are the image sheets and the answer pages and the answer key. So you've got the entire, and so at the week following the 12th of January, I will post the 2019 MIT Invitational on the website. We also do the Golden Gate Invitational at UC Berkeley. We write that test. That is always at the beginning of February. And as soon as that one is posted, then we are going to, as soon as that is done, I will post that on the National Science Olympiad website. Again, it is a really good test. It's written by the Astronomy Science Olympiad alumni, and that gives everybody 2 really good practice tests to use to study for competition. An example of a state test is Vermont. Every year we write 2 or 3 state tests, and since those are a little bit not quite as complicated as an invitational, we write an invitational as a little bit easier national test. A state test is also a little bit easier than a national test, but it's still pretty solid. And sometimes we post some of those on the NSO website also. So keep checking back to that website where those are posted at NSO homepage where the menu is. Look for those. They usually post them under event supervisors, actually. So we give you every practice test that we can give you. This is the page on the National Science Olympiad website. Is under Event Supervisors. Under Astronomy, it lists the resources. And there are other resources that we're going to list there besides this PowerPoint for this presentation. The webinar, of course, will be posted on the Chandra website. The PowerPoint and the transcript also. And the PowerPoint will be posted on the NSO website. That's where we post the invitational test, any regional or state tests that we can post up there. That's where those are all located. There are other things that are posted there too, which I'll tell you about here. On the Chandra website, of course, are all those stellar evolution materials to help students learn all about stellar evolution. This works really, really well. This is going to be really, really helpful again in the C division, which rotates in 2000, after 2019 rotates back into Reach for the Stars. So all of the stellar evolution materials are still there. A lot of people use these now. They're very useful. I've added another webinar to help with these. Here is the stellar evolution image set that you can request as many of these as you want from the Chandra website. If you cannot find where they are located, but they're on the stellar evolution, in that stellar evolution module says stellar evolution card set, and I think there's a direct link to order it there. If you can't find them, email me and I will see that you get them. Now we come to DS9. We have in the past used screenshots from DS9. DS9 is an image analysis software used by the scientists to analyze X-ray observational data. It is the only difference between DS9 and JS9 is that DS9 requires you to download a little toolbox which turns your laptop or computer into a virtual Linux machine. All of the analysis is crunched for you at Rutgers University and then sent back to you as you're analyzing the data, and it spits it back at you. But there is, of course, difficulties a lot of times for, especially during competition, to get through firewalls. They don't like downloading that. So we ended up using just screenshots when we used any question involving DS9. So that has, and it has taken a lot of time and energy to get DS9 into an easier to use format. So DS9 is now called JS9, and it is browser based, so that you can do it directly without downloading a toolbox. You can just do it directly through your browser, and it looks the same as DS9 when you pull it up, and you will see that it has an introduction. It has a lot of demos. You can go through JS9, and I keep telling all teams, go online, go to js9.si.edu and play with it. Just rummage around with it, do the demos, learn the tools, what they look like, what they're analyzing, how you can ask a question and get an answer, and it's a beta. It's being improved on and changed all the time. There will be other tools added as we go along. Right now, energy spectrum, counts and regions, radial profile, and light curve are tools that you can use. So you can learn how to use JS9 anytime by accessing the website. And what's so cool about doing it this way is if you're interested, for instance, in an energy spectrum in some part of the Cassia supernova remnant, you can draw a circle, any shape you want to, in this case a circle, around the region you're interested in. You want an energy spectrum of what it looks like right there. And when you click on it and click on energy spectrum, poof, up pops the spectrum. And then you can drag that to a different part of the remnant and see what the energy spectrum looks like there. The minute you drag it and let go, poof, up pops the spectrum. It's instantaneous. So it's really fast. So for this year, 2018, we had a JS9 question as part of the national competition, and it used screenshots from JS9, and it actually was a Cassia question. This is the question. So I am also posting, if you can't get the entire astronomy test for 2018, we don't give them out because National Science Olympiad every year takes the test and the answer for every event, and they put it on a CD and they sell it. I think the price is around $19, and you get every event on there, and the astronomy one is on there. So if you purchase that, you will have the entire Astronomy C Division 2018 test with answers on the National Science Olympiad website, with all the other astronomy resources listed under Event Supervisors. We're posting this question, the JS9 question, and the answer key, so that everybody can see what it is like. Okay. Also, one of my alumni, Dhruva Karkata, wrote a Getting Started with JS9, a little 6-page. He also includes on there that same question from 2018 on CAS A, but he adds some more information too on how to getting started with JS9. So I'm uploading that also to the NSO website so that everybody can also have that to download. We're doing everything we can so that everybody's got everything that they need to be familiar with JS9 before we actually do it down and dirty, live, during national competition in, hopefully, 2020. If you go onto the Chandra website, to the Classroom Ready Materials, and scroll down to the very last module, it's on imaging. That's where the DS9 materials are. And remember, JS9 is just a conversion of DS9 from needing to download a toolbox to doing it through a browser. But it's the same image analysis tools, same kinds of questions, the same kinds of procedures to go through. And when you look at those materials, one of them is on analyzing X-ray pulses from stellar cores, and another one, and this is really appropriate for this year's competition, is on determining ultraluminous X-ray sources in the Cartwheel Galaxy, what exactly those objects are, which requires a basic understanding of stellar evolution in order to do. So that will give you a good idea of a kind of question that might be asked in 2019 using screenshots from JS9. So Terry Matilsky is the person who made up the JS9 question for the 2018 competition this year. He has developed some of the tools for DS9 and JS9, and he is now working with us to help enable us to use JS9 for reals during competition for 2020. He is now a professor emeritus from Rutgers. He had a course, a very popular course that was used worldwide for several years. I'm not sure if it's still ongoing or not. It might be. There are a lot of YouTube sections on him, with him talking about using DS9 and on using stellar cores. There also, I discovered, still is online and available a set of questions dealing with DS9 and the stellar cores that's in that DS9 investigation on the Chandra website, written by John Colina, who was, until he retired, a Chandra resource agent. So there are 2 more places where you can go to learn about DS9 now, JS9. So the resources for you to use, as always, if the students, when they are learning about the deep sky objects, the apod.nasa.gov is a really good place to begin, because if you plug in the deep sky object, it will give you every single public release image of that object, starting with the most recent and going backwards through time. And it gives different wavelengths too of several of them. So you can read about an infrared image, or an X-ray image, or an optical image. There are, of course, the websites for the radio, Spitzer, infrared, Hubble for optical, of course. All of those websites, or you should go directly to the website responsible for the release to read about it. APOD gives a good little summary of everything. That's a good way to begin. And again, we have the JS9 website that the students can use to learn the JS9 tools. The Astronomy Coaches Manual now is a little bit dated. The stellar evolution, there has been changes in that. I'm in the process of beginning a rewrite of that. It will not be available for this year, but hopefully in time to use as a study guide for 2020. I will be updating, it's 204 pages. I'm going to be updating the stellar evolution, what's in there already, but we're going to add a section on exoplanets and we're going to add a section on galaxies. So the National Event Supervisors, besides myself, Tad Kamasic, who is now has a postdoc position. He got his PhD this year in exoplanet atmospheres and is now at the University of Chicago doing a postdoc there. Connor Todd, who I believe is graduating this year, I hope that's right, from Michigan, and myself, of course. You can contact us for information that does not regard the event itself, because for those you need to go to the rules clarification if you have any of those kinds of questions. If you're having a difficulty locating resources or trying to find something, you can contact us. But if you have any question about the event itself, please go to rules clarification and ask your question there. So make sure you understand what the resources are that allowed for this and what the content is. Use the webinars on the Chandra website and the PowerPoints that are posted on the National Science Olympiad website and the invitationals that are located there also, and any other tests that are posted there to help the teams prepare for their own individual competitions. And use the resources that are listed in this PowerPoint. Those are really the only ones that you need. So the last 2 years, 2018 and 2017, focused on stellar evolution in Type 1a and Type 2 supernovas. And those students who have competed for those 2 years already have a good basic knowledge by now of stellar evolution, so they can focus on the galaxies. So I admit this is going to be a bit of a bigger struggle for those teams that are just coming in this year and have not had the advantage of 2 years of stellar evolution, and now they're attacking stellar evolution and galaxies. That's one of the reasons that we're going to repeat this exact same stellar evolution in normal and starburst galaxies for 2020 as well. So one of the webinars that's on the Chandra website now under the astronomy one is called Stellar Evolution for Science Olympiad Coaches and Teams. And it is basically Stellar Evolution 101, which explains the process of putting together the deep sky objects, the light curves, the HR diagrams, and the various stages of stellar evolution with those deep sky objects, how they all work together to explain the process of stellar evolution. So anyone who's coming in who has not done stellar evolution yet in competition, I strongly advise that they watch that webinar, go on the Chandra website and then request the card sets and actually go through those activities and investigations. That would be really helpful for them. And use the test that we post on the website under invitationals, under event supervisors, because they are ones that we have written ourselves, and they are good caliber tests to give you the knowledge you need about how well prepared you are and what you do already know and what you might still need to polish up on. And also go to the SciOly Test Exchange website. That's all run by Science Olympiad alumni. There is a plethora of resources on there in all kinds of different resources. So that's also a good place to go. So if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact either Connor or Todd and myself, and we will get back to you as soon as we can and give you what you need to know. Thank you, and have a really great competition year.